Betsy. I hope you and your family are doing well. Lily and I are here again to update your home exercise program. So I'm gonna do maybe just like 1 or 2 repetitions of the ones that we gave you last week, and then add just a few new ones into the mix, okay? So we'll start on your back. Of course, we always start with a little breath work, so you're gonna wanna start with maybe 3 to 5 breaths, just focusing on allowing the movement and mobility of the rib cage, noting a little bit of the rise and fall of the belly, and just letting the body settle into the mat. We then did a few pelvic rocks, so just gaining that mobility around the hip joint and in that lumbar area. And then we took that into our pelvic curl, Betsy. So inhaling at the top of your movement, exhaling to lower down. Thank you, Lily, for the background music there. So imagine a string attached to your tail, lifting through the spine. We inhale at the top, we exhale to lower down. So you're doing some pelvic curls. You also did, or I asked you to do, or gave you the option, or the idea to do a few spine twists supine. So legs are stacked up. You're rotating from the waistline down. Legs moving as one piece, as one unit. Lily, I'm going to ask you to just please be quiet for a moment. Thank you. So after a few spine twists supine, I want to move into a little bit of our abdominal work that we've practiced, and that is we're going to start with a single leg lift. So 90-90, so a little bit beyond kind of 90 degrees at the hip, and then the lower leg, the shin is parallel to the floor. So I would say maybe warming up with maybe about 6 to 8 of lifting the leg and trying to maintain just that the pelvis is steady, not a lot of tension in the neck and shoulders. You want to feel that the abdominal wall is the sense of it kind of dropping down versus popping up. And you'll want to do that on both legs. So again, about 6 to 8 repetitions, trying to move just very foldable, very easy and fluid at the hip while the trunk is stable. And the way I want to pump that up a notch today or this week is you're going to lift one leg. I'm going to ask you to attempt to lift the other leg. And then from here, I'm going to ask you to place your hands behind your thighs, Betsy. Okay? And so you're just going to take a moment to kind of get yourself situated. And what I want you to think of doing, Betsy, is you're actually going to press your legs forward into your hands, but at the same time, the hands are pulling back against the legs with the same amount of force. So what you're doing is you're just kind of getting the back of the hips and the back of the legs working, but you're also having to just kind of stabilize your body or your trunk. So the abdominals are having to work. Since both of the legs are off the ground, you're going to release that. I would say maybe stay with it for about 2 or 3 breaths. So again, my hands, my fingers are clasped behind my thighs. I want to have the sense of pushing my legs forward into my hands, but my legs are pulling, my arms are pulling back with the same force, so the angle of my hip doesn't change. So I've got this kind of push-pull tug-of-war between my hands and the legs, but it's just causing my whole trunk to kind of fire up. Try to keep breathing naturally, try to keep the abdominal wall drawing in versus popping up, and try to keep the neck and shoulders settled. And release. And I would say do that maybe about, again, try for about 6 to 8 times with that. So then, Betsy, last week we did a few open books. Your lower body was nice and still. Your head is resting or hammocked, I should say, supported in the hands, and you're rotating through the upper body or the rib cage. I would do maybe about 5 to 7 on each side. I just showed this one side, but making sure that we're doing about 5 to 7 on each side. So I want to add, this is a new one this week, placing the hands under the forehead. Elbows have a sense of reaching wide, but my hands are glued. My head or my forehead is going to rest on my hands, and you're going to work a little bit of just really, really upper segments of the back extension. So press down through your forearms. The head and the neck will lift. I want to try to keep the neck nice and long. and then I lower back down. Trying to keep my lower rib cage, my pubic bone on the mat throughout. Press through the arms, head and neck lift. Try to keep the length of the spine and lowering down. And with that one, Betsy, I would go for again, that 6 to 8 marker. And then from here, Betsy, the last one that we did, or last week, we did a little bit of your hands and knees position. We started with kind of some of the belly breath, or kind of what we might even call a Buddha breath, by breathing in, allowing the belly to fill, but keeping the spine still. And then with the breath out, that sense of kind of lifting the internal organs and the contents of the tummy up to the spine, but again, keeping the spine nice and steady. And then what we finished with, Betsy, was that sense of trying to keep the spine steady, shoulders strong. You're going to go ahead and float the knees just to hover, like off the mat, just an inch or so, and take in about 3 to 5 breaths. So Betsy, I hope this is a nice home exercise program for you, and feel free to text me, call me if you have any questions.